Dark clouds moved over the twin moons, covering the jungle in heavy shadows. Somewhere deep within, a creature moved with silent steps. It was a predator, one feared across many worlds. Its senses were sharp, its claws ready. Every living thing that crossed its path ended the same way, gone, devoured, forgotten. Tonight, the hunt had begun. The predator moved through thick vines and steaming fog, every step calculated. Its eyes glowed faintly, scanning the trees. It could hear the beating hearts of smaller creatures, smell the fear of prey hidden in the dark. None of them mattered. Tonight, there was something different, something strange, a signal. The predator paused, turning its head toward the faint sound of a heartbeat that didn't belong. Slow, weak, alone. Strange, it thought, a low growl rumbling in its chest. So fragile, yet human. The jungle whispered around it. Somewhere ahead, among the roots of ancient trees, was a human life. The predator had hunted humans before. They were clever, dangerous in groups, but this one was different. Small, vulnerable. The creature climbed over a fallen tree and crept forward, its claws digging deep into the bark. It could almost taste the fear. Through the leaves, it finally saw it, a human cub, no taller than its own forelimbs, shivering under a massive tree. The cub was crying softly, tears cutting pale lines through the dirt on its cheeks. It clutched, a piece of cloth, a blanket, torn and muddy. The predator stepped closer. One move, one strike, quick, simple. It raised its claw, ready to end the hunt. And then it saw the cub's eyes, wide, innocent, fearful. The predator froze. Its heart, normally an unbroken rhythm of violence, faltered. Something in those eyes, buried deep within its own mind, made it hesitate. The cub whimpered and looked up, its small voice breaking the silence. "Please, don't." The words were soft, almost lost in the wind, but they hit the predator like a blade. For a moment, the predator couldn't move. It was as if its body refused the order to strike. Its claws trembled in the air, and its breathing deepened. "What is this?" the predator thought. Stepping back, it growled low, angry at itself. It had never hesitated, never questioned. Prey was prey. That was the law of the hunt. And yet, it lowered its claw and stepped into the shadows, disappearing from the cub's view. The cub sobbed softly, unaware that the hunter still lingered nearby. Hidden in the trees, the predator watched. Why had it failed to kill? Why had its chest tightened when it saw those eyes? The predator tilted its head, confused. It remembered the lessons of its kind. No mercy, no hesitation, no weakness. Yet something deep inside felt wrong. Why can't I strike? The cub shifted under the tree, pulling the dirty blanket tighter around its body. The predator stayed still, silent as stone, its thoughts turning darker. Maybe it was hunger that made its mind falter. Maybe exhaustion, or maybe something older, something it had forgotten. The forest around them grew quieter, as if holding its breath. A sudden rustle in the bushes made the cub jump. The predator's ears twitched. Another life sign. A rival hunter, smaller but still deadly, slithered through the underbrush. The cub had no idea. For a brief moment, instinct surged within the predator. It could let the smaller hunter take the cub. One less problem. No questions. But the thought brought an unfamiliar feeling, disgust. It turned its gaze toward the slithering beast. Muscles coiled, claws flexed, a single swipe, and the creature lay dead. Its blood hissing on the damp earth. The cub gasped, eyes wide. The predator turned back, its silhouette barely visible in the moonlight. For an instant, predator and cub locked eyes again, one filled with terror, the other with something it couldn't name. The predator stepped back into the shadows. From its perch in the trees, it stared down at the cub. Why? It wondered again, its chest heavy. Why couldn't I kill? Why did I protect it? The wind shifted, carrying the cub's faint sobs through the forest. For the first time in countless hunts, the predator didn't feel the thrill of the kill. Instead, it felt unsettled. Somewhere deep within, an ancient memory stirred one it couldn't quite reach. And for the first time, the predator feared the answer. The night passed slowly, filled with strange whispers of wind and distant cries of unseen creatures. From the high branch of an ancient tree, the predator watched the cub. Its golden eyes never blinked, yet its mind was not clear. The rules of the hunt were simple: see, strike, feed. And yet, it hadn't. Every time the image of the cub's wide, pleading eyes returned, its claws trembled again. This is wrong, it thought, flexing its talons against the bark. I should have ended it. I should not feel this. The cub shifted. Below, curling up tighter against the roots, its small voice broke the silence, weak and trembling. "Mama, Papa, where are you?" The predator tilted its head. Words, human sounds. It had learned to understand them during hunts in the past. The cub was calling for its pack. There was no answer. Hours later, dawn broke over the jungle. Pale light filtered through thick leaves, painting the forest floor in shifting patterns. The cub woke with a start, shivering in the damp air. Hunger gnawed at its belly, and it stumbled to its feet, holding onto the blanket. "Where am I?" the cub whispered, looking around. The predator followed from above, silent as mist. Its instincts screamed to pounce, to end the hunt and still the hunger within. But something stronger held it back. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the trees. The cub froze. From the shadows emerged a pack of small but vicious beasts forest scavengers, their eyes glowing with hungry malice. They snarled, circling the cub, their teeth clicking in anticipation. The cub backed away, its tiny voice trembling. "Go away. Please, don't hurt me." The predator watched, muscles coiled. It didn't move. This was nature's way. The weak were prey. And yet, when one of the beasts lunged, the predator's body acted before its mind decided. A blur of claws and fangs descended from above. The scavenger never had a chance. The predator landed hard, its talons tearing through the beast with brutal precision. Blood sprayed across the leaves, and the rest of the pack scattered in terror. The cub fell to the ground. Staring in shock, for a moment, there was silence. The predator's heavy breathing filled the clearing. The cub's eyes met its golden gaze. "You saved me," the cub whispered, voice trembling. The predator stepped back, chest heaving. "I did," it thought, confusion swirling. "Why?" It turned sharply, disappearing into the thick shadows of the trees once again. The cub remained, frozen in place, heart racing. "Why did it help me?" it murmured. High above, the predator perched again, claws digging into the bark as it tried to steady its thoughts. "What is happening to me?" it asked itself. "I do not protect prey. I do not feel." This it remembered, the ease of the strike, the satisfaction of victory. But instead of joy, a hollow ache filled its chest. In the cub's terrified gaze, the predator had seen something it couldn't understand. Something familiar. Hours turned to another night. The predator followed the cub as it wandered deeper into the jungle, searching for something: water, food, safety. It watched as the cub stumbled and fell, its tiny body weak from hunger. The predator felt an unfamiliar pull and urge to intervene, to guide. It fought against it, snarling silently to itself. "I am hunter, not guardian," it thought, but every time the cub cried out in fear or pain, something deep inside twisted, like an old scar reopening. That night, the cub collapsed near a stream. Too exhausted to move, the predator emerged from the shadows. Approaching slowly, the cub's half-closed eyes fluttered open, filled with fear. "Are you going to eat me?" it asked weakly. The predator paused, the words cutting deep. "No," it found itself thinking. The answer, shocking even itself. It lowered its massive head, and in a voice low and rough from disuse, it whispered words the cub could barely hear. "No harm," the cub gasped, eyes wide. You can talk." The predator growled softly, backing away, speaking hurt. It was not meant for words. "Safe," it rumbled at last. The cub stared, trembling, unsure whether to trust or run, but exhaustion took over, and it drifted into uneasy sleep. The predator remained nearby, its glowing eyes watching the small, fragile figure. High above, the stars burned cold and distant. The predator tilted its head toward the sky. Thoughts. Heavy. Why can I not strike? It wondered again. Why does this prey matter? And then a deeper fear took root, one it had not felt in many hunts. Its clan, if they learned of this failure. If they discovered it had spared prey not once but twice, it would be hunted as traitor. The predator growled low, duty and the strange new instinct rising within. Far in the distance, a haunting roar rolled across the jungle. The predator's ears twitched. A new danger approached, one even it hesitated to face. It turned its gaze to the sleeping cub. Danger comes, it thought grimly. For reasons it still couldn't explain, it knew one thing with certainty. It would not let the cub die. Cliffhanger. The jungle trembled with the sound of heavy footsteps. Something monstrous was coming, and for the first time in countless hunts, the predator wasn't sure if it could win. The ground shook with each step of the approaching creature. The predator crouched low, every muscle tense. It knew that sound a rival hunter, bigger and deadlier than the scavengers. Even for a creature like itself, facing such a beast meant risk. The cub stirred in its sleep, whimpering. The predator's mind was a storm of instinct and confusion. It had already broken the rules of the hunt by sparing prey. Now it had to decide. Abandon the cub and escape, or stay and fight. Its claws dug into the earth. No harm, it had promised, with a low growl. The predator stepped between the cub and the approaching danger. From the darkness emerged a massive beast, its hide armored with jagged plates, its eyes glowing crimson. It sniffed the air, then fixed its gaze on the small human curled near the stream. The predator bared its teeth, issuing a challenge. The larger creature roared, a deafening sound that sent birds screaming into the sky. The cub woke, eyes wide, with terror. What's happening? It's TAMMERED. The predator lowered its head, rumbling a single word, hide. The cub scrambled behind a thick tree, clutching its torn blanket. The clash was brutal. Against armored hide, pain seared through the predator's shoulder as sharp teeth tore into its flesh. It roared back, striking with furious precision. The cub watched, heart pounding as the predator fought like a force of nature. For the first time, fear of the creature that had spared it was replaced by something else: hope. After a violent struggle, the predator delivered a killing blow, its claws slicing deep into the rival's exposed throat. The beast collapsed with a shuddering thud, the forest falling silent once more. The predator staggered, blood dripping from its wounds. The cub emerged slowly, trembling. You saved me again," it whispered. The predator sank to its haunches, breathing heavily. "Safe," it rasped, voice rough. The cub hesitated, then stepped closer, small hands reaching out to touch the predator's injured shoulder. "You're hurt," the cub said softly. I can help." The predator tilted its head, confused. No prey had ever dared touch it. The cub tore a strip from the blanket and pressed it against the wound. The predator blinked slowly, something unfamiliar stirring deep within. Yes, it thought, though the word never left its lips. Days passed. The predator no longer stalked the cub as prey. Instead, it stayed close. Guiding it through the hostile jungle, the cub began to speak more freely, though fear still lingered in its voice. "My name's Eli," the cub said one evening. Sitting by a small fire the predator had silently allowed, "What's yours?" The predator tilted its head. Names were for humans. Its kind communicated through scent and sound, not words. After a moment, it rumbled softly. Eli smiled weakly. "Arkar. Okay." Arkar hunted for both of them, bringing down small creatures that Eli could cook. The cub learned quickly, mimicking the predator's movements. At night, Eli would talk about his family, about the colony he had lost, about dreams of going home. Arkar listened in silence, the strange tightness in its chest growing with each word. It began to understand something new. The bond forming between them was not weakness, caught the scent of others, members of its own kind. Hunters, they had followed its trail. They come. Arkar thought grimly, its golden eyes narrowing. Eli noticed the predator's sudden tension. "What is it? What's wrong?" Rykar lowered its head, the single word rumbling from deep within its chest. "Run!" Eli's heart pounded. Who's coming?" Clan Rykar growled. "Kill us both." Before Eli could react, distant howls echoed through the jungle, closer than expected. Arkar grabbed the cub gently but firmly. leaping into the treetops with inhuman speed. Branches whipped past as they fled through the night, pursued by relentless hunters. Eli clung tightly. Terrified to speak, the chase stretched on, moonlight flashing through the trees. Every movement was a blur, every heartbeat a countdown. They will not stop, Arkar thought, muscles burning. They will not forgive. Eli dared a glance back. Intent at last, RCR dropped to the forest floor, setting Eli down behind a fallen log. "Stay," it commanded, voice sharp. "But no." Arkar growled, baring its teeth. "Stay hide." Eli swallowed hard and nodded. Our single quotes Kea are turned to face its pursuers. From the shadows emerged 3 predators. Their sleek forms identical to Arkar's, but their eyes cold and merciless. The leader stepped forward, snarling. "You shamed the hunt, Rykar," it hissed in their guttural tongue. "You spare prey. You protect it. You are no longer one of us." Arkar's muscles coiled. "Leave," it growled. "Kill the cub. End your disgrace," the leader spat. Arkar's claws flexed, and for the first time, it spoke with certainty. No, the battle was swift and brutal. Arkar fought with ferocity, born not of instinct, but of purpose. 2 hunters fell, their bodies torn apart. The leader, wounded, retreated into the night, vowing revenge. Arkar staggered back, bleeding from fresh wounds. Eli rushed to its side, tears streaming. "Why are they after us?" the cub cried. RCA lowered its head. "I broke law. Spared you now, hunted." Eli's small hand pressed against its blood-streaked hide. "Then we run together," the cub whispered. Arkar blinked slowly, a low rumble of agreement. Echoing in its chest, the forest around them fell silent once more. But the danger was far from over. High above, more glowing eyes watched from the treetops. Scar-S clan had only begun the hunt. Eli gripped the predator's arm, fear and determination mixing in his gaze. "What do we do now?" RCR turned toward the dark horizon. "Run," it said simply. The night bled into dawn, and the jungle trembled under the endless pursuit. Arkar carried Eli through tangled roots and sharp rocks, every step driven by instinct. Behind them, the haunting cries of the hunting pack grew louder. Eli clung tightly, his small voice breaking the tense silence. "Are they still coming?" Arkar did not answer at first. Its golden eyes scanned the terrain, seeking any path that would buy them time. Finally, it rumbled, "They will not stop." "Clan hunts until prey falls." Eli's heart pounded. "We can't keep running forever. Where can we hide?" "Nowhere," RCR growled. "We move, always." The jungle ahead split into a maze of deep ravines. Arkar leaped effortlessly across the first gap, claws scraping stone. Eli risked a glance back, spotting dark shapes weaving through the canopy behind them. "They're close." Eli cried. Arkar growled, landing hard on the far side. "Hold tight, path grows worse." They plunged into a valley thick with fog. The air reeked of decay, and twisted trees clawed at the mist like skeletal fingers. Eli shivered. "Place, it feels wrong." "Deadlands," Arkar muttered. "Few enter, fewer leave." The cries of the hunters echoed through the fog, distorted and closer than ever. RCR set Eli down briefly, muscles trembling from exhaustion. "You must run now," it commanded, "on your feet." Eli's legs wobbled, but he nodded. "I'll try." They ran side by side, the predator's massive frame shielding the cub from unseen dangers. Every sound in the fog was a threat, branches cracking, the slither of unseen creatures, the low growls of predators that called this cursed place home. Suddenly, a massive silhouette lunged from the mist-on apex beast, blind but deadly, jaws snapping. Arkar shoved Eli aside, tackling the creature. They tumbled across the rocky ground, claws and teeth tearing through flesh. Eli scrambled to his feet, shouting. RCR, with a final brutal twist, RCR broke the beast's neck. It stood over the corpse, chest heaving, fresh wounds, glistening darkly. "We must keep moving," it rasped. Hours passed in a blur of terror and exhaustion. Every time they paused, the hunters drew nearer. At last, they reached the edge of the Deadlands. Ahead stretched a barren cliffside overlooking a raging river far below. Eli staggered to the edge, peering down. We can't go this way. We'll die. Rakar's ears twitched. Behind them, the pack closed in. Golden eyes narrowed in decision. Jump, it commanded. Eli's breath caught. What? Are you insane? We'll be crushed. No choice. Jump or die here. The first of the hunters burst through the fog, their snarls filling the air. Arkar grabbed Eli and leaped from the cliff. For an instant, the world was weightless. Then the freezing water engulfed them. The current dragged them violently downstream, smashing them against jagged rocks. Eli clung to RCR, barely able to breathe. The predator fought the river's pull, muscles straining at last. They were hurled onto a stony bank, gasping for air. Eli coughed violently, shivering. We made it. Arkar scanned the cliffs above. No glowing eyes, no snarls. For now, they had lost the pack. They collapsed in a small cave at the river's edge. Arkar's body bore deep gashes, its breathing ragged. Eli tore more fabric from his blanket, pressing it against the worst wound. Stay still, he whispered. You saved me again. You can't die, not now. Arkar's golden gaze softened, a low rumble vibrating in its chest. I endure, it said. Eli sat beside it, trembling from exhaustion and fear. Why do they want us so badly? Arkar's gaze turned distant. Clan Hunt's traitor. I broke law, spared prey. Protected you. They will not forgive. Eli swallowed. Hard then? We're both prey now. Yes, Rakar replied simply. The next day, the chase resumed. They moved through treacherous, terrain-jagged ridges, marshlands crawling with venomous creatures, and forests where even the plants sought to kill. Each step drained their strength, but the bond between them grew stronger. Eli learned to trust. RCRS signals a low growl meant danger, a flick of its tail meant silence, and a gentle nudge meant safety. At night, they shared what little warmth they had. Will we ever be safe? Eli asked one evening, his voice small and tired. Arkar glanced at him, then at the stars above. Not while Clan hunts, but we fight together. Their bond was tested soon after. While crossing a narrow canyon, RCAR sensed danger a heartbeat. Too late, a hidden hunter ambushed them, knocking Eli over the edge. Arkar roared, diving after him. Claws raked stone as it caught the cub's wrist in midair. Pulling him back to safety, Eli clung to Arkar, trembling. I thought I was going to die. Arkar held him close, its voice low. And certain, not while I live. But their pursuers were relentless. By nightfall, they were cornered on a plateau, surrounded by cliffs. The hunting pack closed in, their glowing eyes reflecting bloodlust. Eli's heart pounded. There's too many. What do we do? Arkar stepped forward, planting itself between Eli and the enemy. Its claws glinted in the pale moonlight. We fight, it growled. The first wave struck, and the plateau erupted in violence. Arkar fought with unmatched fury, each blow precise and lethal. But for every foe it felled, more closed in. Eli watched in terror. Realizing the truth car was outnumbered, one hunter lunged past RCR aiming for Eli. Without thinking, the cub grabbed a jagged rock and struck, surprising both predator and attacker. The hunter reeled, and Arkar finished it with a savage strike. You learn, Arkar rasped, a hint of pride in its voice. Eli's hands trembled. I just wanted to help. The battle dragged on, blood soaking the earth. Arkar staggered, bleeding heavily. Eli pressed against its side, panic flooding his chest. You can't fight them all. Please, we have to run, Arkar growled, scanning the cliff's edge. Beyond lay a narrow path leading into unknown lands. We run, it decided, grabbing Eli once more. They escaped into the darkness. The hunting pack's furious cries echoing behind them. Eli looked back. One last time, his heart heavy with fear. Will they ever stop? Arkar's voice was grim. No, not until one of us falls. Arkar's body lay still on the cold ground, its breathing shallow and uneven. Blood seeped from deep gashes, dark against its scaled hide. Eli knelt beside the predator, tears streaking his dirt-covered face. No, you can't die. Not after everything, he whispered, pressing trembling hands against the wounds. You saved me. Now it's my turn. Arkar's golden eyes flickered open, faint and unfocused. Run, leave me, it rasped, voice barely a growl. I'm not leaving you, Eli snapped, surprising himself with the strength in his voice. We're in this together, remember? Together. A low rumble escaped RCR's chest, a sound Eli had learned meant refusal. Even now, the predator tried to push him away. Eli tightened his grip on the makeshift bandage. No, I won't let them take you. I'll keep you safe, just like you kept me safe. The cries of the hunting pack echoed in the distance, drawing closer. Eli's heart raced. He couldn't carry Resar far in this condition. He had to think fast. The rocky landscape. He spotted a narrow crevice hidden behind twisted vines. There, we can hide there, he whispered. With all his strength, Eli dragged Arkar into the crevice. The predator grunted in pain, its claws scraping against the stone. Inside, the space was tight and dark, the air damp and cold. Eli pressed himself against Arkar, trying to stifle his own trembling breaths. Minutes stretched into agonizing. Hours. Outside, the hunting pack passed, their snarls and heavy footsteps shaking the ground. Eli held his breath as one of the hunters paused near the entrance, sniffing the air. Please don't find us. Please. At last, the sounds faded into the distance. Eli exhaled shakily, leaning against Arkar. We made it, for now. Over the next few days, Eli tended to Arkar's wounds as best as he could, using water from a nearby stream and strips of cloth from his blanket. The predator's strength returned slowly. Each day, its golden eyes grew clearer, its breathing steadier. You saved me, Arkar rumbled, one evening, its deep voice soft and almost uncertain. Eli smiled weakly. I learned from the best. A low rumble vibrated through RXR's chest, a sound Eli had come to recognize as approval. But safety was temporary. The pack would never stop hunting one night. Arkar stirred, its gaze fixed on the horizon. They come again, it said grimly. Eli's stomach twisted. Then what do? We can't keep running forever. RCA's claws flexed against the stone. We make stand. No more running. Together, they prepared. RCA taught Eli's simple tricks of survival, how to move silently, how to set traps, how to use the terrain to their advantage. Eli learned quickly, determination hardening his once fearful eyes. For the first time, they were not just prey. They were partners. The hunters came at dawn. The ground shook under their approach, snarls echoing through the canyon. Eli's heart pounded, but he stood ready beside RCR. Remember? RCR growled. We fight together. Eli nodded, gripping the sharpened branch they had fashioned into a spear. The battle was fierce and unrelenting. Traps triggered, with deadly precision, catching the hunters off guard. Arkar fought with renewed strength. Each strike guided by purpose rather than instinct. Eli darted through the chaos, using his size and speed to outmaneuver their foes. For the first time, the cub who had once been prey struck back, one by one. The hunters fell until only the leader remained the same, one who had sworn revenge. The leader snarled, eyes burning with fury. You have fallen far, Rakar, protecting. Prey will be your end. Arkar bared its teeth, positioning itself between Eli and the threat. No prey, my cub. The leader lunged, claws aimed for Eli, but RCR met it mid-strike. The clash shook the canyon, echoing like thunderdot. With a final brutal strike, RCR ended the battle. The leader's body fell still, and the hunting cries faded into silence. Eli collapsed against Arkar, shaking from exhaustion. We did it, he whispered. Arkar looked down at him, its golden eyes softer than ever. Safe, it said simply. As dawn broke, the two stood at the canyon's edge. The land beyond stretched wide and unknown, bathed in the first light of day. Eli glanced up at Arkar. What now? The predator's gaze swept the horizon. We go? Find new world, new hunt together. Eli smiled, a spark of hope flickering in his eyes. Together, they set off side by side, hunter and cub, no longer predator and prey. Behind them, the cries of the hunting pack were gone. Ahead lay endless unknown lands, but for the first time, neither felt fear. Arkar carried Eli in its arms, a silent vow burning in its heart. No harm would come to the cub, not ever again.